Hi, my name is Darrin Lythgoe, and today I'll be installing TNG version 12. I'll be describing the process by which we download the program, unzip it, find the README file, then upload everything to my website, and then get everything ready to receive data. I'll be using a Mac, and my browser is Chrome, but the instructions should be general enough that you can use it on whatever platform you have on your computer. To start, we need to find the email that you should have received when you purchased TNG. It will contain a link to the downloads page along with the login you'll need to access it. When you click that link, this is where you should end up. This is the downloads page. Near the top it should say TNG full version. Immediately under that you should see a link to the latest version, which as of this recording is 12.0.1. If you were intending to install an upgrade instead of the full version, please scroll down to the update section and download the appropriate upgrade. Then find the video for installing the upgrade instead. Do not install the full version over your existing version of TNG or you will lose your data. Okay, so that said, let's click on the link to download the program. For me, it's downloading here in the lower left corner of my browser. When it's all done, I'll be able to right-click there and show it in the window, in the location where it downloaded to. And I'm going to right-click on it and choose Unzip. Now all the TNG files and folders are in this new folder called TNG Files 1201. Your hosting provider, your website, may allow you to just upload the zip file and then unzip it directly on your website. So if that's more convenient for you, you might want to look into that. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to be uploading the files and folders after they've been unzipped. Okay, the next step is to look in the folder that was created and find the README file, which contains the installation instructions. I'm going to double click to enter that folder, and I'm going to scroll down to the README file right here. And when I double click on that, it should open this file in a web browser. Here we go. Welcome to the TNG installation guide. Begin here. And notice it says please complete these steps in order. If you run into any problem and then try to continue without resolving that, you're going to run into more problems. If you decide to stop halfway and come back, you can start again where you left off. There's no need to go over the steps that completed successfully. Alright, well, starting on step 1, it says upload or copy all the files and folders from the zip file to the location on your website where you plan to run TNG. Now if you have a domain like lythgoes.net that you want to point directly at your TNG files, then you need to upload everything to the root folder. In most cases that's called public HTML or maybe www or maybe htdocs. In other words, if I want lythgoes.net to go directly to my TNG program, then I need to put everything in the root folder. If you already have a website and you just want to put TNG as a subset of that, then once you get a connection to your website, you want to create a folder to put that in. Don't put it in the root because you'll overwrite your existing structure. Okay, so the first step is to upload everything, and to do that we need either an FTP program or the file manager on your site control panel. I'm going to use a program called FileZilla because that is a pretty good FTP program and also free. When I open that program, up here on the left, I can open what's called the Site Manager. And if I don't have my site configured yet, I click on the New Site button. You can see I've already entered everything for me. I'm just using the standard file transfer protocol. Here's my host name, and down here's where I enter my username and password. You can get all this information from your hosting provider, or they may even allow you to create your own FTP accounts. Sometimes there'll be a different encryption routine. Other times there might be a different login type. I'm using normal and just the plain FTP. Alright, I'm going to click the connect button to connect to my website. I'm going to scroll this down. Here on the left, you can see are the files on my computer, and on the right, these are the files and folders on my website. And I've already created a folder for this demonstration on my website called TNG12, and I've already uploaded everything there. So if I click on that folder, you can see all the TNG files and folders are already there. Now, if I had been uploading this right now, I would have gone over to the folders on the left side and found the files that I need to upload. You can see here in my downloads folder, there's the folder I created called TNG Files 1201. Click on that, and now all the files and folders from that folder are down below it. So if I wanted to drag and drop a file over, I just highlight it and then drag it over to the right, and then I just drop where I want it to end up. If I want to grab all of them at once, I can use my control or command key and the A key to select everything at once. And then I drag and drop everything over, and it would all go over. I found, depending on the connection, this can take you between 5 and 10 minutes on the average to upload everything. So anyway, I've already done that, and so my files and folders are already there on the right side. So I'm going to go back to the installation instructions. Now I'm on step 2. It says, if you are viewing this guide on your home computer, close the page now and browse to it on your website instead. So if I look up in my browser address bar, you'll see it says file : / and then a local path to the README. This is what I mean by viewing the guide on my home computer. I'm looking at it as a file and not as the web page on my website. So to continue, I need to overwrite that and just type in the address of my website. Actually, I put it here. And since I haven't installed TNG in this location before, it automatically takes me directly to the README page. Now you can see I'm looking at it as a website, as a web page. I'm ready to continue to step 3. Okay, step 3 says set permissions. Now some of these files that we've uploaded need to be writable, meaning the program needs to be able to write information to certain files. So in order to do that, we have to click this button to set the permissions for that to be able to happen. I'm just going to click there, and if everything goes well, you should see this message almost immediately. The permissions have all been set. If for some reason your hosting provider does not allow you to set these permissions via a web form, you'll see a red message to that effect instructing you that you might have to go do that manually. And you can do that through your online file manager or through your FTP program like FileZilla. Okay, on to step 4. Step 4 says rename to folders. So there are folders for your backups and for your GEDCOM file. And I might want to just increase the size of this page to make these things more readable. So when you back up your data and when you import your data, these 2 folders are used for that purpose, and the folder names are the same on all TNG installations by default. And we don't want the bad guys to know where your data is hiding, so that's why we give you this utility to rename these folders, just so that they're not easy targets. So just for the purpose of this, I might type XYZ at the end of each one. And then I click the buttons to rename the folders. And those folders have been renamed. Excellent. Continuing to step 5. Choose your language and your character set. So TNG supports about 20 different languages. You can see a list of them here, and you'll also notice that for each one there is a UTF-8 version and an ISO 8859-1 version, more commonly known as ANSI. So if your data contains a lot of special characters, for instance, if your data is Icelandic or Polish, it might have a lot of diacritics or other special characters that are better handled using the UTF-8 character set. So if that's the case, I recommend that you choose the UTF-8 version of your desired language. You might also want to check your GEDCOM file or the desktop program you use to make sure that your GEDCOM file is using that character set as well. Okay, I'm going to use English in the UTF-8 variety, so I'm just going to click Save, and no problems there. Alright, on to step 6, and this is probably the trickiest one for a lot of people, and that is establishing a connection to your database. And as it says there, if you don't know this information, ask your web host. They might want you to create everything yourself, but in many cases they can just hand you the information. There's 2 fields on the end to mention right away: database port and database socket. Very few people are going to need that information, so don't worry about that. Just leave those blank unless your hosting provider expressly tells you what to enter there. Okay, as for the rest of this information, let's suppose that your host has told you that you need to create the database. So in that case, you're going to want to go to your site control panel. And I have a tab open for mine already. Let's go back to the home page. Alright, it looks like this for most people. Sometimes the style is a little bit different. But you notice there's probably, for you, just about everyone will have this databases section. And I'm going to click on the icon for MySQL databases. And here, let's close that. Here's where I can create a new database. And for my new database, I'm going to call it Lythgoe's _ TNG 12. You see, I didn't get to pick the prefix in this case. Yours might be different, but if you see a prefix in front of the field, you'll know that whatever you choose, that's going to be part of the database name. So for me, my database will be Lythgoe's _ TNG 12. And I'll click the button to create that. Going back, the next step, scrolling by all the databases I have now, is to create a database user. I could use an existing user if I want, or if you already have database users defined on your site, that's fine. But for this purpose, I'm going to create a new one. Let's call it TNG12 user. Okay, and I'm going to give it a password. Let's call it ABC123 exclamation point. Very, very secure. Oh, and maybe I need to get even stronger than that. How about capital ABC 123 exclamation point £. Well, I'm still not getting anything that I want, so let's use the password generator. There we go. So I'm going to copy that. Let's use that password. Okay, that's very strong. All right, I'm going to create that user. Excellent. Now that I have a database and a database user, let's scroll all the way down to the section where it says Add User to Database. This is the third step, and very important. If you forget this, even though you've created a database and a user, it's still not going to work. So you need to find the user that you created, G12 user, and the database 12, and add that user to that database. And now you'll get a list of all the privileges, and just click all privileges right there that you want this user to have for your database, and make the changes. All done. Okay, at this point you can go back to your installation instructions and enter in the information. I should start by saying that the host name for most of you is just going to be localhost. If it's any different, you might see something to that effect here on the control panel, or your hosting provider might give you that information. If you try and make the connection and it doesn't work and you're sure everything is correct, then you might have a problem with the host name. So at that point, go back to your provider and ask them. So I'm going to enter the database name and the database user, and I'm going to paste that password that we generated, and I'm going to say save and verify. And once again, if everything is fine, then you'll see a green message, information saved and connection verified. If you get a red message saying something is wrong, then one or more of the things that you entered there is incorrect. So go back and check that again. Alright, step 7, the next thing to do is to actually create the tables. And part of that is choosing the database collation. This again affects the how characters are displayed, especially special characters in Scandinavian languages or Slavic languages, all different alphabets. So if your data contains any of those characters, you might want to choose a UTF-8 collation. And the CI on the end stands for case insensitive, meaning like if you search for Sorensen with an E, or Sorensen with a Scandinavian character that looks like an E, then both of those will be found when you search for the regular Sorensen. Okay, so I'm just going to click Save and Create after choosing UTF-8 General CI as my collation. And the tables have been created. Almost done now. Just 3 steps to go, and in fact these 3 steps can be done later from within the TNG interface if you'd like, or you can redo everything from there as well. Let's go over what we've got here anyway. Step 8 is create a user for yourself. You'll want to create a user account that you'll then use to log in to the TNG admin area anytime you want to make changes. Until you create a user, anyone can get into your TNG admin area, so this is very important. So I'm going to create a username. Let's call it Darrin12, and I'm just going to choose a password and enter my name and my email. And this is important because if you later lose your password or username, you need to get back in, you'll want to have your email there so you can have a new password or your username emailed to you. Okay, I'm going to click the button to create the user, and it has been created. Step 9 is creating a tree. This is just a container, something to import your GEDCOM file into or enter your data there. You can have multiple trees on your site if you want. A tree in TNG is an independent data set, so people or families in one tree cannot be linked to people or families in another tree. So if you're what you think is multiple trees, if the people in them need to be linked together or possibly could be linked together, I recommend that you merge that data into one tree instead. Okay, the tree ID isn't going to be seen anywhere except as part of the URL, the browser address line. This should be something short and alphanumeric only, no spaces. The tree name, that can be something longer. Let's say my family genealogy. You can change that, the tree name, later without much problem if you'd like. Create the tree. And finally, selecting a template. Now this is the design. Sometimes it could be called a theme. It's optional if you're a web designer, you want to create your own look and feel from scratch, that's perfectly fine. We can open this link to see what all the templates look like. And these ones at the top, starting from 18 and 17, those are newer ones that were introduced in version 12. Scroll down and you'll see the older ones. In each section you'll see what the home page looks like and a sample of what all the other pages look like. There are about 18 different templates you can choose from. And you can change this later at any time, so don't worry about choosing one and deciding later that you hate it. So I'm going to pick number 16 and select that. Okay, and that's it. We're done. The TNG is up and running. The only thing left is to maybe explore the settings, enter your data, or upload your GEDCOM file. In fact, let's click on this link here to go to our home page. See what that looks like. There it is. You can see if I click surnames, there isn't much data there yet. If I want to go to the administration panel, here's where that is. It's where I would import my GEDCOM file or view the setup, all the other options that can be had there. That's it. You're up and running. All set to go.